It's time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
This episode of the Up North Journal podcast is brought to you by PSE Archery,
Carbon Express,
Fourth Arrow Camera Arms,
Wind Scent Hunting Sense,
Killer Food Plots, Seeds, Supplements, and Attractants,
Cabela's,
Spot Shooters,
Limb Walker Game Calls,
Twisted Minds Bowstrings,
Hunter's Blend Coffee,
Antler Action,
and Family Traditions Tree Stand.
And don't forget you can catch us in syndication at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on goodtalkradio.com. Welcome back to another episode of the Up North Journal, everybody. I'm host Mike Adams, sitting in a very warm cabin on a dark night because of the time change with Dan Jasa.
The winds are blowing.
Is it windy out?
Did you notice that when we got that out of the back of your truck?
No.
You didn't notice it?
No, I wasn't paying attention.
We're supposed to have storms come in after midnight, I think.
Oh, great.
It's going to be windy.
Great.
So probably all the leaves that are on the trees, probably gone off the trees.
That's okay. Let them blow across the road.
Well, that's exactly what I was thinking. I'm just debating on which way the wind is going. I got to check, or else I'm going to end up with a bunch in my yard.
The only thing I have to worry about if it's a true north, if it's a northwest wind, it'll blow them into the corner of my fence.
Yep, exactly. That's where mine will end up.
Straight west, even north would be kind of bad, but anything but northwest.
East? Coming out of the east is perfect, but that usually doesn't happen.
West, southwest blows them in the neighbors across the street.
No. West blows them into my yard. Northwest blows them into the corner of the yard. But yeah, other than that, trick-or-treating was kind of fun.
Okay.
Had 400 of those little guys.
Do you have any hunters?
I didn't see no hunters.
No deer hunters. Do you see my costume I had on for Halloween?
I did see that. I
was in a tree.
You were up a tree.
Yeah, I was hunting.
You were trick-or-treating. You almost got tricked by some coyotes.
Oh, that was the trick. Yeah, on Halloween night.
Right, exactly.
Thank you very little.
They're probably trying to put you in their little bag of treats.
Yeah. You
little
got
fricasseed,
that right.
Mike Adams.
Little Mike fricassee. Okay.
Right, exactly. They just, they sounded like they were out and about and decided maybe get around you and see what they could make out of you.
It was crazy. It was definitely a crazy night. So, but you came up at the beginning of the weekend that week.
Yeah.
So we didn't have a live stream that last week, and that's why, because we were not here at the cabin. And Dan came up with me, followed me up on Saturday, and it rained all day. Thank you very much.
Well, it started out with a hole in my tire.
Yeah, you had to start off with a
of course it's raining.
Yeah.
And I go, man, that tire looks awful low. Go over there and put the air, and I'm looking at the tire, and I can see bubbles.
Not good.
And I'm like, oh, boy, this ain't going to be good. So I said, all right, I got to go home and plug it. So I went home. Of course, the tube of glue to plug it, it's dried up.
Yeah, okay. Nice.
So I had to run to the auto parts store, go back home, in the rain, plug it. Mm-hmm. So it put me about 45 minutes back.
So I stopped like a nice guy and got groceries while I was waiting on him. And actually, our timing was pretty good.
Yeah.
So, and Dan Jasa, PSE marketing director, he come up and met us that evening, and we all got to hunt Sunday morning. So, but when we all got in the stand, the only person to see anything was Dan.
Yeah.
He saw a buck, but nothing that was anything to write home about.
A little guy.
A little 6-pointer.
Yeah.
You didn't see anything? I didn't see anything?
No. But I did hear, I guess it's a prelude to what happened to you on Wednesday. Me and Dan heard the coyotes that morning.
Yeah.
And it was like, wow.
Well, you want to jump right into that part of it? I mean, I did a podcast. That's my cup.
Yeah,
Don't be grabbing my cup of coffee.
But
I will stab you.
You did a podcast, and then don't stab me on air.
I will stab you right here, man. You take my coffee. That's war.
Right?
No, but
yes. But, it was compared to what we got up there Saturday, right? We got up there early, which was kind of nice. And we're like, all right, it's raining.
Yeah.
It's like, hey,
that's the way it goes.
Let's not go out do some hunting, but let's go for a walk, see what's happening, and just rain will let up, right?
Yeah.
No.
Actually, we thought about 2 or 3 different times, and every time it started raining harder and harder and harder.
Yeah, so. It's like we'd get more wet within the first 100 yards out of the camp than
So
it's like,
long story short, you came up, Dan came up, didn't see a whole lot. You went home Sunday afternoon. Dan and I hunted Sunday night and Monday morning, and we were seeing some deer. Not a boatload of deer, but we were seeing deer enough to keep us excited and busy. And, excuse me, but he left Monday after Monday morning's hunt, and then I had Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday all to myself.
Yeah.
4.5 days.
And you were up there by yourself, but I got to tell you what.
I did 2 podcasts.
You did, and you were living pretty good because the food we had Saturday night was pretty good.
Yeah. Had some deer steak that I brought up and some veggies, and I brought enough to carry through that rest of the week. It was a good time. It was a good sabbatical for me to get away after the long 3 months of what's been going on with me at work and trying to keep things rolling. So, hey, Billy Hoffman's watching with his son named Hunter, and he says hi. Hey, Hunter. Cool name.
Right? Hunter's watching us drink Hunter's Blend.
That's right. And Jason Pfister's on, and AJ Regal. Thanks for tuning in. But Tuesday night, I whiffed on a doe. For those of you who didn't listen to the 2 podcasts, I did 2 podcasts out in the field as I was walking to my stand to kind of update everything. But just briefly in a nutshell, watch these 2 does come filtering through. Probably for an hour feeding. I was in the oaks, and they were feeding on acorns, and didn't know if they were going to go to my left or to my right, because as they were coming towards my stand. I finally got them pinned, and I knew where my marks were. I had trees.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That I had already prearranged,
all right.
And I knew what they were. And the doe, big, nice, fatty, come in behind my 35-yard tree, between my 35 and 40. She was real close to the 35. And as soon as she got her head behind, I drew back. Thank goodness for 90% let off on the PSE Evolve 31.
Oh, okay. You had to wait a little bit?
It had to wait a little bit. I was probably 30 seconds. It wasn't like an eternity, but, you're holding back. You're drilling.
But it is nice to be holding 90%.
Yeah, and I'm just chilling and waiting, and I'm like, okay, pin gap. I'm going to hit her between 30 and 40. So, her head steps out, and she does one of these, looks up at me like, hey, what you doing up there? So I'm waiting. Come on, take a step. And in this time, my focus shifts from her to my sight. And I notice my third axis level, my bow's canted.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, I got back squared up, and my focus went right back to her. And she took that step, and I placed 30-yard pin where it needed to be, and, right on the heart, and let it fly.
Hold on a second. She was between 30 and 40.
Bingo. That's what happens. You take your focus off what you're doing and try to make an adjustment and then go back to it.
So you were probably about a yard short.
I had hair on the arrow.
Okay.
And a little bit of grease. I just barely zipped her. No blood, no nothing. It was just, I'm glad I didn't, it wasn't like a bad wound. You know what I'm saying?
It was a close shave.
I shaved her.
You shaved her armpits.
Yeah, pretty much.
There you go. So, but that goes to show you when you changed your focal point of what you were doing to fix something, then you came back to realign yourself.
I rushed it.
You did.
I wasn't paying attention.
Was she moving, or was she just?
She took a step, and I let it go.
Okay.
I just by the time I had leveled back up, I leveled up and focused, and she took that step, and I just let it go, and it was 30-yard. And as soon as I shot, I saw the arrow, and I saw it's going. I'm like, I just shot a 30-yard shot. I mean, I knew exactly what I did as soon as I did it.
And she just said, "Hey, you shot a 30-yard shot, and I'm out of here."
She ran up onto a little hill about 70, 80 yards away. I could see her plain as day. She could see me. She stood there, stomped her feet, and blew at me for probably what seemed like a half hour. It was probably 3-4 minutes. I mean, she really lit it up. She blew the woods up. And it was basically like a big middle finger to me.
No, absolutely.
You missed.
You missed, and you're going to pay for it now because I'm going to let the rest of the woods know that you're right there.
And that's really I had one other shot I could have took, and it was early. Was it Monday morning? Monday morning. I think it was Monday morning.
With Dan, were you out there with Dan? That'd be Monday morning.
Yeah, I think so. I think he was there. But I was in another stand, a new one that I had set, and a doe come out, walked. She was 30 yards broadside. But it was a little doe. And I was just like, no, it's not what I'm here for.
Right.
So.
Well, not yet, at least. Get later in the season.
Yeah. So that was up until that point. Wednesday, I watched in the evening and saw, actually, I didn't hunt Tuesday morning. It was raining. Wednesday morning, my knee was swelled up pretty good and hurting, so I stayed in. Thursday morning, it was raining. So I didn't hunt those mornings, but it did quit raining enough to where all 3 of those days I was out by noon.
Okay.
It was like a late morning, early afternoon hunt, and I hunted the rest of the evening. And
now, do you typically see deer in the mornings afternoons or in the evenings on your property?
I see them pretty much both.
Okay.
But it seems like I have better results or better interactions, closer interactions in the evening.
Okay.
A little more predictable.
All right. Because I know some places they just say, you know what, they only go out for the morning because after that it's done, or they just say, you know what, mornings just don't even bother to get out there for the evening hunt.
I'm not a morning guy. I really don't like getting up super early, the butt crack of dawn, and getting out there. I don't enjoy it, but I do it because, I've killed probably the majority of my deer in the morning.
Right.
And on my bow hunts, I've not stacked up a lot of deer with a bow. I think I've killed three or four, and they've all been evening.
Okay.
It just seems like I get deer to work closer to me
in the evening.
Setting up on food sources and things like that. But this year I set up on some ambush points. Tried changing some things up a little bit, and I don't know.
How's the you got up there? How's the cameras? Were they showing stuff to get out there and be after, or you're not seeing?
I almost posted. I got some pictures I do want to show tonight, but I almost pulled one up. I was going to show you, but I think it's a 2.5-year-old 8-point. He's not big enough. He's not mature enough. He's got little nubs. He's got he's wide, body's healthy. It's a nice buck, but
when you're trying to get the age of the herd up
in the buck category,
buck category up, you're trying to let them go.
Yep,
and you didn't see any does that you missed on the doe that you could have had.
Yeah,
but yeah, exactly. That's one of the things.
Had I had a rifle, I could have stacked doe.
Oh yeah, that's
that's the way it goes.
That's what makes bow hunting so much fun.
Right.
You got to get them within that distance. Where, like you said, if you would have missed that deer at 30 yards, then you saw the deer at 70 yards, you still would have had her.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
but that's hunting. That's the way it goes.
That is hunting, and it's another thing is just getting out there. I'm glad the weather changed for you because
it changed. It changed. It quit raining, then it rained in the morning. Those 2 mornings it rained. Then the last day it was nasty. So
welcome to October,
right? And November, beginning of November. So hey, Josh Hagerman, Tom Gensel, what's going on?
They did you see any rut activity? Anything chasing the does? Little guys, big guys?
Yeah, I saw 3 bucks. Back up just a little bit. Talking about seeing anything worth shooting on trail camera or whatever. The activity that I've seen on trail camera and in the field this week, is really encouraging. But they're young bucks, but I've seen more different bucks than I've seen in a long
You're not
time.
Getting the same. I'll just pick a number, 7 bucks between the cameras going, oh, yep, he was just over there.
Yeah.
You're getting a more of a visitorship to the area of different bucks. And
I bet you, I would say somewhere between 10 and 15. 15's probably on the high side, but 10, 12, 13.
Well, that bodes well for the future, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Typically up at our place, we've seen, I know last year we seen, at one time I seen 10 different spikes and little guys, and you just like, okay. So next year should be better. When so far it's been okay. So for you, same thing, right? You get the little bucks, hopefully let them go, because you do have some big ones there. There's no doubt about it. They don't get big for no reason.
I've seen a track that I actually I'll talk about in the next segment here that I actually got on and tried to hunt, and that was actually Wednesday. Coyote. What I'm referring to is Coyote Wednesday now.
Yeah, exactly. You instead of Halloween, you had Coyote.
Or actually, no, I take it back. That was Thursday. It was after the coyotes. So, but I tell you what. Let's step outside. Let's take a quick break. We come back. We'll continue the conversation. We'll be right back after this message.
PSE Archery has reinvented the way you buy bows.
From now on, you can make the most educated decision possible
by basing your bow choice specifically on your shooting needs and goals.
All you need to do is ask yourself, what kind of shooter am I? What do I want to achieve?
PSE will help find the right category for you.
So, what kind of shooter are you?
Find out at psearchery.com.
Welcome back. Second segment of the show.
And as you see here, we're drinking our Hunter's Bend coffee. And don't forget, go visit huntersblendcoffee.com and use the code capital UNJ for your 10% off.
That's right. There you go. huntersblend.com.
Give it a try. It's one of those coffees, whether you like the dark roast or the regular roast.
Black powder.
Which is very good. It's very smooth. Surprisingly, the black powder dark roast, that shocked me that it was that smooth.
It is. It's good. It is real good. So actually, that's what we're having tonight. Is a little bit of the black powder, so to speak. So
Justin Eggert's got a question for us.
Okay. Where up north do you guys hunt? Okay, up north for me is Alcona County in Michigan. If you get my trusty state of Michigan map out here, it is right up here by my index finger. If you're not familiar with where Alpena is, I hunt about 35 miles southeast of Alpena in Alcona County. Real close to the Alpena border.
Yeah, you're right. Basically.
But you
I go to the
or above the bridge.
I go above the bridge to the western UP, Iron County. I hunt just north of Crystal Falls, so I'm about 30 minutes from Wisconsin. I could be more of a cheesehead in a heartbeat.
Packerland.
Yeah, I mean that's for Dan Anderson over there in Wisconsin.
Right. Ron Moses says, "Did you see my one deer, Mike?" I don't think I did. I've kind of been disconnected here for the last 10 days or so. So I was on Facebook, but I didn't spend a lot of time on it. So I'll have to go back and take a peek. But so there was a question during the break there.
Yeah,
Josh Hagerman,
another
friend of ours from ATA show,
and a fellow hunter that uses a bike like yourself.
Yeah, he asked how my season was going. Well, to back up a little bit, Monday I had an episode Monday.
Well, hold on. When we got up there on Saturday, your bike was full of mud.
Yeah, it was covered in mud.
It was. So,
yeah. But I did wash it off.
Okay, you did wash it off. All
yep,
right.
I got it all cleaned up and got it ready to go for the afternoon hunt after Dan left, and got all my gear on, got ready, and was just going to get it and right around the parking area there real quick, just to make sure everything was copacetic.
Right.
Before I put my bow on the rack, which I'm glad I did. And as I got on it and started to pedal, I heard clunk, 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 and all of a sudden the chain comes flying off, and I'm like, what just happened? And I look down behind me. The derailleur is in my spokes.
Huh?
It ripped the derailleur off the bike. The rear wheel.
Really?
Yeah. I think what had happened is, and I talked to the guy at the bike shop when I dropped it off. He said that when you're riding and you're in first gear, the derailleur is so close to the spokes.
Okay.
In proximity, if the derailleur is bent at all inboard, it'll catch and it'll rip it right off.
Oh, and you know what? You had yours on. I remember it
laid
was
on the trailer.
Laid on the trailer on its side.
Yep. Yeah, but I didn't think I didn't have it pulled down tight on the derailleur, I didn't think, because it had the pedal down there. But you never know, bouncing.
I was going to say bouncing.
Yeah. And he said that normally, back in the good old days, the bikes where the axle goes into the frame, that ear, that's where it attached. It was part of that ear.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
Well, he said if that broke off, the frame was trashed. But now they make a hanger that goes there.
Ooh.
So $130 later, Mike's bike's getting fixed.
Oh, okay, good.
Bent the wheel.
I think you're going to have to get to stand the bike up in the trailer.
Him and I already talked about this at the shop.
Okay.
Yeah, he remembered me from buying it 2.5 years ago. And,
right.
And, he's like, wow, you got the setup on it. Because he remembered me trying to buy the rack to hold either a gun or a bow on it. And I showed him the mounts on that. And he's like, that's really cool. And, we talked about the trailer and the way it's set up and everything. And we've got, for $40, we've got a way to mount my bike securely on the side or the headboard of the
trailer.
The trailer.
Okay.
Not headboard, the head frame.
The
metal,
front
metal
where
frame.
the tongue goes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got sidewalls that stick up about a foot, and there's probably 1.25 to 1.5 inch wide piece of angle iron, and there's a track I can mount to that, and then a mounting bolt to take the front wheel off and mount that frame to it so it holds it in place.
Oh, good deal. Good deal.
So
you'll
won't have that happen. And I'm getting a heavy duty derailleur put back on it, and he's going to clean and wash the bike and prep it and have everything ready. So
like getting it detailed.
Yeah, well,
Justin Eggert says he hunts Roscommon County.
Okay.
And Nathan Strickfaden is Allegan County.
Okay.
And there is Dan Anderson checking in. Oh, and look at that. It's raining in Wisconsin.
Keep it over there.
And he's at deer camp, it looks like.
Good for him. Shoot something. I didn't. So
Tim Miller says it's been slow and quiet on state land in Otsego County.
Otsego County. I killed my first deer in Otsego County.
Did you?
Yes, I did. The one that you can't see that's right there.
Wow.
Michigan 2.5-year-old 8-point buck. Yep. I was 17 years old, and it was running with a bull elk. when I shot it. I kid you not.
Was the bull elk chasing him, or was he chasing the bull elk?
The bull elk came in and stopped 30 yards off to my side, and the 10 deer came running through behind him and right in front of me, and they were all does except for him.
Really?
And double tap. Don't ask me how I managed to double tap, but I boom, boom, and he dropped in his tracks. So I got lucky.
You did. 17 years old.
17 years old, yeah.
It's on the wall.
Yep. So,
But yeah, I've been seeing also on Facebook, man, there's some nice bucks going down. There's some nice deer going down. Does, bucks.
There's one in southwest Michigan that was shot. Yeah. David Boggs said, "So you finally got some nice deer up in Michigan." And I was like, "Yeah, I think that one crossed the Indiana border and came up here."
Exactly.
Thing was a monster.
Was a monster. But,
so
you had a bike episode.
So then I walked.
I was going to say, they happened on Monday, then the rest of the week you're walking.
I'm walking, and that's why my knee swelled up on me on Wednesday. Wednesday morning I woke up, and my knee was really bothering me. So I was like, I'm not going out. Yeah. It doesn't take much to keep me indoors in the morning. Rain, I'm not a fan of rain. Just, headache, backache.
Gun season is a different story.
Mm-hmm.
If it's raining... As long as I get to my blind,
you're sitting in a shooting house. You know,
as long as I get to my blind, get me in there. I'll be dry, and with a gun, I'm not worried about needing that blood trail.
Right, exactly. Well, last year opening day, it rained for 36 straight hours, and I sat out all day in that in my hunting, my shooting house. So
yeah, and I wonder, hey Dan, if you're still listening, I know it's raining, but did you have any snow?
Hey, the Spencers are watching from our camp up at Birch Creek.
Oh, okay.
So let's get to Coyote Wednesday.
Yeah. Hey, Mike Shadwell's tuning in, and he got a nice buck down his way.
Everybody's killing deer but us. Well, no,
you already got mine.
I take that back. You killed a deer. So
I'm just waiting for the next season.
Right.
So, but we'll see.
So Wednesday evening, I get out in a stand. I'm sitting there. I got out by noon. Like I said, sit all day, and nothing. Up until about 5 o'clock, 5:30. The last hour and a half. And I see some does coming off the food plot, making their way up into the oaks. I'm like, okay, maybe this will be a repeat of Tuesday. Maybe they'll come back through. No, they didn't. They just kept on cruising, went to the neighbor's property.
That's another thing. Yours is not a square block of land.
No, it's L-shaped.
So I don't. You have like, I don't know how to say it. Like a round that the deer go on that you'll see them, let's say in one corner of the property, and then I don't know, at the top of the side of the property you'll see them come through, and then they'll make their way around.
I typically don't see that. I think more of ours is a crossing.
Okay,
back and forth. I mean, there's just the dynamics of we've got so many different dynamics to our property, the way it's set up.
Because like
bedding areas and food sources, and water, and
some deer I'll see on our northwest 40, and they will make it down to the east 40, and they'll jump the road, come down, and I'll see them come through.
Okay.
And then it's a matter if they go right or they go left, and then sometimes like the buck that I shot was going east to west all the time. So I was just wondering if you were picking that up.
No, the neighbor to the west of us, he's right down in the corner of the L, along the long side, and then down in the corner of the L. He doesn't really hunt heavily.
Okay.
His property doesn't see a ton of action, and it's kind of I consider it like a sanctuary.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's the bedding area. I mean, really, our property line, we got a 2-track that runs right along the fence. It's a single piece of wire. It's not a fence. But that 2-track past that is the bedding area. I mean, it's the top of the Oak Ridge. It's set up perfect for them to bed off of our property, come down through the oaks, and hit my food plot or the water source that's just to the north of my food plot. I mean, it works out really good. I mean, I'm in a perfect spot for transition and to catch them coming and going. And that's what I did. I set up right in the middle of what we call the high and low road.
Okay.
And that's where I'm trying to pick them off. And then I got another one. The new one I set is in a ravine that leads to said sanctuary and is a travel corridor going to the south end of my food plot.
Now, you've got a couple lakes on your property.
Got one. In the trout pond.
In the pond, okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any other water holes?
We got the creek that comes off the end of that and travels through the swamps. They'll use that as water. And then at the north end of my food plot is an artesian spring that feeds water.
Okay.
It's not a wide creek. It has a lot of standing water in there. It's cedar swamp. that they've got access to.
I've seen it for some reason this year. I've picked up on this, but some people are hunting over man-made water holes. So it's like okay. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to try to get this to work because
I know people who've made ponds. I mean,
right? And
our lake was made.
Yeah, exactly. But this is basically, I want to say, we'll just take the size of this room, deep, and they make it so the water gets in there,
right?
And then I've seen how they made them. They use a tarp, and so the water stays, and it's just interesting. And I'm like, I was thinking up on our property.
Need a water hole.
Yeah, I'm like, well, okay.
Get an excavator.
Right? Exactly. I'm like, oh man, there's another thing I got to worry about. But I think I have the perfect spot for it. So it's like, okay. Add that to the list of to-dos.
There you go.
So
Charles Byram is in the house. Hey, Charles. Charles, you and I are going to talk about tree saddles here one night. I might actually get you on the show to pick your brain a little bit. But so anyway, I forget where we were talking. But anyway,
we're talking about your bike.
And then the buck's chasing the does a little bit.
We're to Wednesday now.
Yeah, so they went up over the hill onto the neighbor's property. The does did. There was 3 of them. And then it wasn't 5-10 minutes later, I heard crash, crash, crash down the swamp coming from where the artesian spring is. I'm like, here comes a buck.
Yep.
Sure enough, boom, he pops up. He's about 60, 70 yards away to my north. I was like, well, he's too far away. And he's nose to the ground, looking up, nose to the ground, and went right the same way. So, okay.
He's bumping.
And then a half hour later, another buck. Same thing. About the same size. Small 6 or forkhorn.
Okay.
Just sniffing. But, yeah, that happened. That was Wednesday. And then that happened probably 6:15.
So this is before, this is before time change. So it's still like you've got about 45 minutes.
Last shooting light 6:45.
6:45. Okay.
I couldn't see my pins well enough to shoot.
Okay, 6:45. Okay, so you're about a half hour before.
So I look at my watch at 6:28, and I'm like, I'm just going to start getting a few things ready, start putting a few things away. So I'm going to start to get down and get out of here. I'd had enough, and I stood up, and I'm facing the tree, and I'm using my safety lines, folks. If you guys aren't using safety lines, you're crazy. You better be tethered in. So. I'm working around everything. Got my safety line all cinched up. And what's nice about that is you can put a little pressure on that.
Yep.
If you want, and you can relax just enough to kind of take a load off and not worry about losing balance when you get tired from standing in the stand. So putting a few things away, and no sooner than I open that backpack and put a few things in, I'm looking, and then I'm looking due east, and then to my northeast, a quarter mile, I hear a pack of coyotes cut loose.
Okay.
4. Maybe 5. I mean, there was a lot of them. Like, okay, whatever. Keep putting some stuff, fiddling around. And it wasn't 15, 20 seconds later to the southeast, about a quarter mile away, another pack of coyotes. 4, maybe 5, cut loose. I'm like, this is interesting.
Right?
Because now it's like, okay, there's 2 packs out here, and, it starts to make you think a little bit. It wasn't another 10, 15 seconds to the southwest of me, a quarter mile, over in the neighbor's property where the deer had went, but it was further south. Another pack cuts loose.
3 packs so far.
So there's probably 3 in that pack. I'm figuring, that's what it sounded like, about 3. And then right after that, to my northwest, another pack cuts loose. Another 2, 3, 4 of them. I'm like, okay, I'm surrounded. They're all within a quarter mile. They're close. I mean, they were close.
Right. And nothing that makes the hair stand up on the back of your head.
Like I said in my live stream that night, I said, Mikey ain't playing this game. I got all my stuff, got down, got on the ground. And that's when a deer hunt turns into a coyote hunt.
Right?
I'm like, okay. So I said, okay, I got to get down and get to the 2-track, get to the edge of my food plot, because I said, I know them stinking yotes. They run the bottom 2-track, and they'll also cut through my food plot. I've got them on, actually.
You got them on camera?
Yeah. Let me see if I can... This is cutting right through my field in front of a camera. And he's actually making a beeline straight towards where I was sitting. This isn't that night, by the way, but this is just an instance. And I be doggone, I get down onto the 2-track, and I start to look down through the field, and all of a sudden, there's 2 of them on the high road about 200 yards away from me, straight up above me, cut loose. And I was like, uh-oh. they're coming in for the kill.
And you be the kill.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay. So I kept my eyes peeled, and I'm like, if I see one, I'm going to smoke it.
Heck yeah.
So
it's all fair game at that point.
yeah, we do have a coyote problem, and actually this picture here is on the low road, and what you can't see. Actually, let me see. Can I take this? I can take that down. Oh, wait a minute. Let me see if I can get this picture set right. Hang on, folks. Just be patient for 1 second here. There we go. Now I dropped the logo. You see what's in the bottom right-hand corner? That's a second yote.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Okay, so if you look behind the one there on the 2-track with the eyes, at the very edge, you can see the first eye of the third coyote.
Right? Yep. Man, they're just single file down that road.
I don't know how many times I've seen coyotes come down in front of this camera and run 3 at a time.
Man.
Yeah. And there you go. There's a nice little furry critter.
In color.
Yeah. During the middle of the day. And,
in color.
And there's another one of his friends right there, a cousin of his probably. And and still there's another one. So
you have a matching one you'd be nice to put up there.
I would. I'd love to get another one to put up there on the stand here behind. You can't really see it here off camera from us, but I've got a coyote over here in the corner. But yeah, so all of a sudden, 4 packs. And then I got 2 right above me on the 2-track. Yeah, it made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. Made me a little more cautious. I'm like, okay, there's probably anywhere from 10 to 15 coyotes in the area right now.
Okay, all right.
Made me walk just a little bit faster. And, I got back to camp okay. And actually, I got about halfway to camp. And I heard, I don't know if it was one of the packs on the west side that cut loose. Or if it was another pack about probably 3/4 to a mile away, probably 3/4 mile cut loose. I knew about where they were at. They were off in the distance, a lot fainter,
going the other way.
So, but that's when a deer hunt turns into a coyote hunt, man.
I guess so.
It got my attention pretty quick.
Yeah, definitely, because you could become the main course.
Coyotes typically are afraid of humans. I understand that. But we have had instances up there when they're putting in food plots, the tractor, the guy running the tractor, they've come in on 4 corners of the field, and we're watching them.
I wonder if they're actually watching him for a reason.
Don't know if they're curious or if they're just
and I wonder if they've, and I don't know if they would do this, but if they would put 2 and 2 together, that if he was plowing up the fields, if he would get. Whether it be mice or something to...
Oh, never thought about that.
It's almost like turning up the soil to...
Scatter game out of the field.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never thought about that.
Because it's almost like... It's like, now that I think about it, because deer cutting the farm fields, they'll be like, hey, they're cutting fields. Let's go see what's going on. But same thing with them. It's like a dinner bell. It's like, hey, he's turning over the soil. Get those little moles or mice out.
Right.
We'll have... whole dinner.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's take a quick break here. We come back. We'll continue the conversation. So we'll be right back after this message.
PSE Archery has always dominated the speed category. Now, the most revolutionary cam system ever to hit the market has perfected the shooting experience. Introducing PSE's Evolve Cam System, featuring extremely high let-off capabilities and the smoothest draw cycle in history. No other cam system has ever delivered this level of total comfort and total control. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Welcome back, third segment of the show. So, going from Coyote Wednesday to Thursday and Friday, there's not much to tell. I didn't see another deer.
Wow.
Seriously, I didn't see another deer. And that's part of the problem that
kind of rained on the parade, huh?
Well, and part of the problem we're having is these guys are not around anymore.
The little ones?
That's one of the very few trail cam pics I have of fawn. This was in September, I think.
That's kind of scary.
And actually, one of the guys that stays up there has actually found more fawn kill sites than he's actually seen fawns alive.
That's not good.
So, when you get into this situation, it starts turning into, okay, you're killing fawns, but that's part of our buck crop, future buck crop. And let's just say that if you're not doing deer management and you're shooting anything that's a 6-point or a 4-point or an 8-point, maybe you got a real nice 1.5-year-old that's throwing an 8. Maybe you got a real nice 2.5-year-old 8-point, and you're not practicing deer management, and you're whacking them. Well, when you lose an age class,
yep,
you lose your fawns for the next year. You lose that whole section, and that's kind of what I've been trying to preach to our guys at camp. If this holds true, and what's happening is what we think's happening, if that actually happens, and we see a big reduction of recruited fawns in the next year's herd, it's going to be detrimental for us for a couple of years.
Absolutely,
especially since we've laid off the bucks for the last 2 or 3 years, and we're starting to see more bucks now. If we go in and we shoot those 6s or those 8s that are 1.5 and 2.5 year old, all of a sudden we're right back to square one, and maybe even worse.
Well, that's
2 years later.
You lose an age class, so you definitely, it sounds like, need to get up there and do some January, February yote hunting. I'm
actually considering taking a coyote rifle with me to the deer woods this year. In all seriousness, and taking maybe a caller, like a mouse squeaker or something, in early in the morning, and just hit that a couple, and see if I can call in a yote and take a 223 and pop one.
Yep,
and just start laying the smack down. I mean, I know right now we don't have a lot of shooter bucks around that I haven't seen on camera anyway. I mean, I know there's some there, but what are we trying to do? Are we trying to manage the herd, or are we there just to kill bucks?
Right.
So,
well, if you're having a coyote problem to the point where you're losing age classes just to coyotes alone,
right,
that's an issue. See, I lose them to Mother Nature. I can't fight Mother Nature.
We got bear, we got bobcat.
Well, there's the other part of that question is, okay, so what percentage is the coyotes taken to the bears to the bobcats, right?
I think they probably take close to half, maybe a little more. I just think there's so many more coyotes than there are
bears.
Bear.
Have you seen a lot of bears on camera?
I've seen no more than what we usually see.
Okay, so you don't think the population has grown in that sense?
No, but we haven't hunted any bear off our place in quite a while.
I think the last one was
2 years.
He got it 2 years ago.
2 years ago, and that was the first one in probably 2 or 3 years. So you and I have talked about trying to do a hunt up there.
But that's the thing, you're gonna have to get up there and maybe, like you said, whenever you're up there, have that rifle ready to get a chance to smack one.
I'm considering it. I don't know how much gear I want to take in. Actually, I should have had my backpack that I was hauling in. I think it weighed about 20 pounds of worth of gear I was hauling in this time. Hey, Jay Scott, what's going on, man? Good to see you in the house tonight. But yeah, seriously, I didn't see another deer Thursday and Friday. It was horrible, and I set out for long sets, setting up on ambush points, and then I'd switch to a food plot. And actually, at one point on Thursday, I went out real early in the afternoon. I was out by 11 or maybe noon, and I sat back in the oaks again until, I don't know, about 4 o'clock. And on my way in to the stand that day, right down our main 2 track coming out of camp, I saw a track. I mean, it was huge. It was it was as long as my hand.
Yeah, it was a big track. This is the one you showed me.
I showed you the picture. I don't have it on here tonight, but I showed you the picture.
It's a very
and it was walking. It wasn't running because it was the gate. You could see the gate, and it was just one after the other, and it was a hog. Heavy deer.
It's heavy on the hoof.
Yep.
And it's splitting just walking.
Yep. So
and it wasn't mud.
Nope.
That it was putting its tracks in.
Nope.
So
nope.
It was definitely.
So I seen where he cut off the trail. And I'm like, okay, I think he's cutting over into the sanctuary, the neighbor's property, And I'm sitting in the oaks, and I kept thinking about that track, and
playing mind games with you, eh?
4 o'clock, it started really getting in my head, and I'm like, I should be sitting in my other stand. The wind's perfect either one I was in, and 4:30 I broke down, got down, and
I got you,
and I sat in the other stand. Didn't see a deer.
Right.
That was the day I didn't see anything that day. But have you ever, in the middle of a hunt, broke down and busted out of a stand and went to another stand?
Absolutely.
You have?
Oh, yeah. Okay. There's no doubt about it. It's just like
in the middle of, not really prime time, but right before prime time?
It's like, you get that.
I had an urge. I mean, there was something in my head telling me, move.
Yep. That's happened.
Okay. I just
no
wondered.
doubt about it. You're not the only one. You have that.
Do you usually listen to your intuition?
Depends.
See, when I'm walking in that day, I was like 50-50. I'm like, man, do I want to hunt that? Do I want to hunt that spot and hope he comes down through the ravine? And I got thinking, I'm like, the way he turned and went up, I got to think he's going to be where the does are. The does are going to be in the oaks feeding on the acorns.
Yep.
I'm like, so that's why I went down there. And then, then it just kept weighing on me heavy. And I was like, no, I'm going to the ravine. And that's where I wound up setting for the rest of the night. So,
well, he's there.
He's still there.
To get him on, to see him on camera.
That's what I was hoping. I did put a camera there.
Okay.
And it was there for 3 days, 3 days. And I went back to hunt. When I got down that night, I went to check my camera, and I could not find my card reader. This little thing here is what I use. You put your SD card in it.
Yep.
And I plug it into my iPad, download my pictures. And it was in my backpack, but I couldn't find it. It was dark. I mean, it was dark.
It was lost in your backpack.
So I'm like, but I did notice that it had taken 21 photos.
Okay.
So I might have a photo of them. I don't know yet.
Now, did you bring the card back with you?
No, I left it in there.
Oh, okay.
No, I didn't have one to swap out.
Oh, all right. I thought maybe you had another one that you could swap it out.
No, I wish I did.
Oh, okay.
But I didn't, so.
Do you have 2 cards per camera?
No. I usually use this card reader. I'll take the card reader, pop the card in, put it in my iPad. I've got it. Somebody's calling you. This is a Wild Game Innovation card reader.
Yep.
I've not found a camera card that it would not read yet, SD card, from any of my cameras. And I've got a Moultrie, Brownings, and a Bushnell. It reads them all, and it works great. And it's got an app that you download that's free. Okay. And I've got pictures stored on my iPad.
All right.
That's what I got these off of with tonight. So, but I got an interesting. Seeing as how we're talking about trail camera photos, there's one for you. I had to show this tonight.
That's funny.
Can you tell? Can you tell if that's a buck or a doe?
Now, do you know what time this was taken?
Actually, I think if I go over here and move the photo up, I think I can.
Because look at it's
7:30 a.m.
Okay, because you look at the shadow that it's throwing in the background.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we can tell what kind of deer that is.
Here, let me
put it back for the folks.
Well, you can see the antlers there if you look up.
Yeah,
there, I think.
yeah. You can see the front of that, and then my brother says they were cutting the corn 200 feet behind me and a fork corn 45 yards in front of me, and then a very, very nice 8 or 10 minutes later. Nice. That's what happens when they cut the food. But you got another one.
Yeah, here's one for you. I don't know if that's the deer shooting me the middle finger.
Well, I think he's trying to tell you something, that I'm here, but you don't know what I am. I'm a mystery.
Yeah, I thought that was good. But here, I want you to look at this one. What do you notice about that buck? Can you tell?
I can see a little on the right side there, but I'm not.
He has no right side antler. All he's got's a pedicle there. That dark spot's a pedicle.
Really?
Yeah. I should have zoomed in a little more to it, but yeah.
Got an oddity there.
Yeah, it took me a close look to really figure. I'm like, something's wrong with that deer, and I've never got this on trail cam before, and this was awesome.
Fighting.
They're not big deer, but
they're sparring. They're feeling their oats.
Yeah, usually you see little bucks, they'll just kind of butt heads a little bit, but these guys is getting down and dirty.
Yeah, when they're laying down and one's pushing, they're getting into it hot and heavy.
I thought that was pretty cool. And then this one was in October, and I found that a little bit odd that
she was trying to feed. She's trying to
look at the size of that fawn.
That's a big fawn.
I mean, that's probably an early drop fawn.
I think so.
But that doe's like, come on, really?
Right, exactly.
So
and she's putting up with it.
Yeah, actually, I've got 3 or 4 photos of them out in the middle of the field, and she's letting that
really
deer nurse. Yeah.
I wonder if that's interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of odd that late in the season. I mean, I know they still nurse, but
right.
That was pretty big fawn. So
yeah,
been nursing pretty well, I think.
You definitely got some things going on that property, and I tell you what, this is one of those things that the invention and the bring along of the cameras that you can put out there have totally changed. Not just going out scouting and seeing them, and maybe if you got a 35 millimeter camera, get a picture of something, or seeing something like this, you'd get a picture. But now it's like it makes it so much fun to pull the pictures and
it's
say,
like Christmas.
It is. It literally is. And I got 3 cameras up rolling right now. It's like, and I can't wait to get up there because I'll pull the cards and I'll bring them to camp and I'll just sit there and we'll sit there at night and we'll go through them and we'll see what's happening.
If I checked mine on the way to my stand Thursday, I think it was Thursday, and I had my iPad with me. Well, when I got in stand, I got there early. Like I said, I got out there pretty early in the day after the rain that morning. And I sat in the stand and I went through and looked at photos. I mean, I'd look at, a few and look up, make sure there's nothing coming. But yeah, it's just, it helped pass the time.
That helps pass the time too, right?
Then you see something, it's like, oh, okay, I want to save that one. You kind of build a scouting report.
That's what you do. You start building a scouting report of what's going on, who's moving where, when, and how.
Right. No, it's all good. It was a fun trip, but I think the coolest thing that I saw while I was out was Monday. No, it wasn't Monday morning. It was Sunday morning when you were there. I'm sitting in the stand. I'm at the far end of the south end of my field, and this was a new stand that I hadn't hunted before. Or was it? Wait a minute. I'm trying to remember what day it was. No, because I had Dan sitting in that stand Sunday morning. This has been Sunday evening, because I put him in the oaks, and then I sat in that stand. And I'm just sitting there chilling out, looking down through the field, and all of a sudden I hear, and I know the distinct sound of air cutting across the wing of a bird.
Okay.
It sounds like not a jet, but, you hear that whistle coming in. And I look up, and just as I get my head about to right here, I see it coming. It's a bald eagle, and he's buzzing the treetops.
Really?
About 30 feet right over my head, and he just soared and then rolled out. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right over top of me. I was like, America, yeah.
Yeah, right? We seen that one when we were heading into your camp.
Yeah.
Right along the river.
Yeah, so that was 2 that I saw. And actually, I went over and visited some friends on Tuesday that were doing some consulting for us. And I seen one over there.
You saw one over there?
On their river, yeah. Yeah, I'm like, whoa, there goes an eagle. I said, that's the third one I've seen, this week. So, I mean, yeah, they're around.
Yeah, they're around.
Pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
So, Chris Kreiner says, trust your gut and think outside the box. It's the rut and crazy tactics work.
You got that right, Chris.
Yeah, it did, man. I sat there in that stand, man, and the whole time I'm there, I'm just wringing my hands, and I'm just thinking, I'm like, God, I need to be in that other stand. I know he's going to come through there, and he could have. I mean, like I said, I haven't pulled that card.
Right.
So, but man, I was just like, oh, I need to be in that stand.
Probably went through at 425.
Yeah, thanks. Probably did. That'd be my luck.
See? I'm just trying to make you feel better.
Thanks. Yeah, I like your encouragement.
That's right.
So, yeah, I tell you what, we're bumping up on our last break here, so we're going to step outside, and we come back, we'll wrap up the show. We'll be right back after this.
Acceleration is part of PSE's DNA. PSE pioneered the speed movement. Now they've developed the vapor category to help you find the most powerful bows on the market to fit you.
High speed equates to intense power and building the momentum you need to be successful. Are you a vapor shooter? Find out at psearchery.com.
Welcome back. Last segment of the show, everybody.
You go up north. You spend a week in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
I go up visit you.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see nothing. You could have brought me back something, but all you brought me back was some acorns.
Yeah.
Really? Acorns.
I spent some time, seeing how I was hunting in the oaks. It's going to be hard to see here. I don't have our second camera set up tonight, but
you're dropping your nuts.
Yeah. Okay. We'll just leave it at that. Yeah, I got 20 of them here. These are
19. You just dropped
19.
one.
I'll get that one. But these are red and white acorns. I got 10 of each. Red and white oaks. I'm 53. My grandson is 2. So in 50 years from now, if I get these to take off and plant them next year, when he's my age, those trees will be 50 years old.
Yep.
And maybe he can hang a stand in one of those future trees.
Maybe.
So, we can buy oaks, we can buy seedlings, we can buy rootstock,
It doesn't hurt to try. I know
So, yeah, I'm just, I don't know. I'm curious.
Why not, right?
So I've done a little bit of reading and figuring out how to get these things to sprout, and I'm going to try it this year and see what we can do. And I figure if I could plant 20 a year, in 10 years, that's 200 trees.
There you go. Tony Thompson is checking in, and Matt Howard is checking in.
Hey, Matt, what's going on? Glad you guys tuned in tonight.
Yeah, but you're right. You got to start somewhere, right? And like you said, you can buy from Mossy Oak biologic native nurseries. You can buy a couple feet tall ones, whatever size. You can buy them from any nursery. It's just whatever you want to plant and get them out there.
When I was visiting with one of my friends over there that were doing the consulting with us, he was showing me a couple different things, but they'd done some logging.
Right.
And we were talking about the logging they had done and the regrowth they had got and the regen, and then some of the plantings that they had done. And, the old adage goes, the best time to plant a tree was last year. Or I think that's the saying. Maybe it's 5 years ago or 10 years ago.
Right.
But the second best time to plant a tree is right now.
Yep, exactly.
So
you gotta. There is no bad time to plant a tree.
No, that's the point. Well, I mean, certain times of the year you shouldn't plant them, but
okay, the spring and fall are the good times to plant.
Right. So,
but if you're thinking about doing it,
do it.
Yeah,
you can't go wrong by trying to help nature. I mean,
that's right.
You can do it the wrong way, but what I'm saying is the thought process of trying to do something and better your habitat. Why not? Why not try? Do something different. But the
worst thing you can do is just sit there and watch.
Yeah. And there were some things that I learned about with the types of trees that they were planting and the way they planted them. And it was really cool, and some of the food plots, things that we need to do and didn't do this year correctly. We got to change some things, but I saw the results of the way
if it's
they were doing it.
The way that it was being done by them is working.
Absolutely. It was phenomenal at the difference. And I didn't got time to go through it right now on the show, but maybe in the future we can hopefully shoot some video and do some work together maybe and talk about this a little bit. But yeah, it's if you don't know, ask questions. Ask somebody who's doing something and ask how they're doing it, why they're doing it, and what works. Ask them what they did and what didn't work. Why did you do it this way? Was it something you did previously that blew up? And this has proven better results.
I went out and planted those apple trees this fall.
Right.
And I tried to do what I thought was, and we'll see.
Right. That's all you can
do. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't,
right.
Learn from whatever might have didn't work.
Right. Well, and there's, and that's something when I was sitting in the oaks, in the stand, and I simply I started taking inventory. I started looking at the amount of trees that were there, the spacing between them, and how they naturally grew, which ones were bigger than the others and seemed to be doing better, had a bigger canopy, and I started looking at those things and just looking at the dynamics and trying to take it in and learn and understand, okay, well, I see that one there is obviously not as big around. Maybe it's younger, but its canopy is really being shaded by that bigger one.
Well, we talked about this when I was up there. Remember we were driving to your place, and we talked about where they had the fire by Mack Lake, and those were, it's so thick in there,
right?
And it's happened years ago, but they're only 15 feet high,
right?
It's like you'd think it'd be taller than that at this point, right? But like you said, it's so thick. Everybody's competing for something: nutrients in the ground, sunlight,
space.
It's like.
Yeah. The whole 9 yards.
Absolutely. So, you're right there. And like you said, you were sitting there and you start looking around going, oh, well, there's a little maple, but man. So,
right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I guess, thinking about how I've changed my hunting philosophy, I guess, since we started the podcast, really.
Right.
Since I went to the deer health check at Turtle Lake back 7-8 years ago or whatever, however long ago it was, and started really learning more about the science, and then I started learning about habitat and food plots and the science behind deer. And when you're sitting in the stand, it's like I'm still hunting, but I'm always looking. I'm looking, a little further than just killing a deer. I'm looking at habitat. I'm looking at all kinds of things.
Well, you're looking at like you'll be sitting there and looking at the lay of the land and seeing what's on the right side growing, but as soon as it drops off down the hill, what's growing down there, and the change in like you said, the high side might be your oaks and feed for the deer, as opposed to getting down into the swamp where it goes into the conifers. It becomes the bedding to protection for the winter for the deer. And that's what we deal with, is we got that same thing. thing. You head down to the creek bottoms and there's the conifers, or you head up into the oaks, right?
Yeah.
And when now that we've logged it and it's open, we've got a whole bunch of new trees coming up.
Yep.
And they love it. You know, there's food, there's protection, and even protection from the human element. The deer jumps right into that and they're gone.
Right. You know, and those are things that, you know, you need to think about if you're doing any type of deer management or wildlife management or habitat management.
Right.
You know, I know when I was turkey hunting this year, I was running a gun and I got down on the ground, laid down flat, and after the turkey went through and I kind of knew that was over with, I kind of looked down and I'm like, oh, wait, look, deer browse. And I started looking at what's right in front of me in my face, literally 6 inches in front of my nose, you know. And I'm like, God, am I getting into this too deep or what?
Right.
You know.
Well, it's that thirst for knowledge, education. Some hunters go only so far. Mm-hmm. Some hunters go X amount, and it kind of puts the whole into perspective as to what you're doing and what you want to get out of it.
Yep.
You know, we like to, as we go through this, and we learn a lot more by talking to a bunch of different people and listening, and you formulate your own opinion, how far you want to take it, how far you want to go with it.
Right.
But it's all out there. You just got to suck it up.
You know, how much money you've got to put into it. You know, I mean, really, that's why, you know, we're doing this or I'm doing this. You know, it's just something else I'm trying to try in different ways. It's long term, obviously a lot longer term. I'll never hang a tree stand in those trees probably.
Nope.
You know, if I'm fortunate enough to live to be 90 or 100 years old, I don't think I'll be sitting in a tree stand. You know, it'd be great if I could.
Right.
But, you know, and another thing that I really kind of got an epiphany on is, you know, I had my iPad with me to take trail cam,
right?
Download my trail cam photos, and we'll kind of end the show on this because we're getting close on time. But as I'm walking through, if you guys listened to the last podcast, episode 488, as I'm walking through checking trail cameras, I found a camera that I didn't know was out there.
Oh yeah, you told me the story. This is kind of funny.
So I like, whoa, it's Christmas. There's a camera there I didn't know I had out, and then I got to it and downloaded all the photos, and then I walked on, and then where I thought it came from, I like, okay, I must have moved it from down in the middle of the field down to this south end. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. And I'm walking down, and all of a sudden, no, wait, there's a camera on that tree. So this camera was out all winter long.
You better start mapping your cameras, buddy.
I usually do. I've got a list of where they're all at, but somehow this one escaped
the collection process.
I don't know why or how. But.
And you said it went from last November to August.
The first picture on it, it must have been when I placed it out there or shortly thereafter, like within a day. I must have had an extra one with me and just stuck it out for scouting purposes. It was November 17th of last year. It was rifle season, because the very first picture is me walking by it in the dark with a rifle over my back.
Okay.
Slung over my shoulder. And I'm like, why, what? And I looked at the date and I went, oh my gosh. And then I scanned forward, because the camera was, when I tried to fire it back up and put the card back in, it blinked and then stopped.
It was dead.
It was dead. So it really didn't click with me until I started looking at the photos. The camera died August 24th or 5th of this year. So I've got the whole winter progression of everything that was in front of that camera for the whole November to August, which is 10 months, you know. And I'm like, you know, this is pretty cool. And as I'm going through looking at them, I remember something that Wayne Sitton said when I did the doe presentation.
Oh, yeah.
Of which does to shoot and why, up at Anchor Creek Deer Rendezvous back in January. That night, it was like 30 below, the actual temperature. It was one of the coldest nights I ever remember being out in the elements. And he said that night at the presentation, he said, you know, what are your deer doing tonight? Where are your deer at tonight? Are they starving? You know, what food do you have available for them? We're not talking bait. We're talking about food sources.
No, we're talking
food plots. And basically he was saying there's nothing out there that time of the year. Snow's on the ground. It's 30 below. Your deer from, you know, whenever that first hits and locks in winter until green up in the spring, deer are in what we call survival mode.
Yep.
And the does are pregnant. They're trying to grow a fetus, and they're trying to survive and stay alive. The bucks are depleted. Their resources, they've lost 25% of their body weight from chasing does during the rut, and they're trying to replenish their body weight as well. And as I looked through those photos, you could see the deer. They They were looking for something. You could see it in their face. They were just cold and walking in front of that camera in that deep snow, and they would bite on what little bit of plant matter's there, and it was horrible.
Well, that's Mother Nature. That's the way
really
Mother
was.
Nature has set them up to survive. Because up where I'm at, when it hits, I know where they're at.
It's hard.
They're in the swamps breaking the wind.
Yeah.
And then they'll come out to head up to feed on something.
Something, yeah.
Right?
And you watch that, and then the green up, or the snow melted, and, we had a little bit of green, but, it was still too cold. It wasn't green up yet. But once that snow melted, there was a spot in my field. They eat it down to the dirt.
Yeah.
It became a dirt spot, It's just like they would eat any little thing. And then you see the coyotes coming through the winter and chasing. And it's just like, man, it really impacted me to think about, okay, what are we really doing for our deer? Do we plant just enough to get them in front of us so we can shoot them? Because was talking Tuesday with the guys over there at the other camp. He said, if you don't put enough food out for them to help them get them through those tough times, he said, they're going to come in, they're going to eat that food, winter's going to hit. And he said, if it hits hard enough, quick enough, he said, you've got them trapped there, and it's going to kill them.
Yep.
So you got to think about what you're really doing. When you're changing the dynamics on the landscape by putting a food plot in, what are you really doing to the animals?
Yep.
So
and mine haven't seen now. We'll have to talk about that probably on another show. But the migration pattern,
right? You're changing those things.
You're making sure you don't want them to stop and get trapped, like you just said. If they come through and that gets them a little bit more to get them to where they need to be, that's probably perfect.
Well, the problem is we're one of the only camps around that's really putting food plots in.
So
for about a 5 mile radius.
You're probably the best magnet for food.
Yeah, and the problem is we got too many deer there. They're coming in, they're wiping it out, and we saw the video that we did with the young buck that died. Starvation.
Yeah,
it's what we think was starvation. Is pretty much what it was. So, but
Yeah,
so that was up north.
That was your week of hunting and picking acorns.
Yeah, so it was insightful, frustrating, fun, relaxing, stressful at times. I mean, it was a whole gamut of things. But you know what? I didn't think about work. The things that I went through the last 3 months at work. It all washed off me, and I kind of got my batteries recharged, and now I'm ready. And I don't know if I'm going up next weekend or not. It just depends on what's going on around here. I really don't know yet. But if I don't, opening day of firearm deer season is the 15th.
We'll be in our respective camps, it looks like.
Yeah, you may or may not be here
next week. Yep, don't know yet.
Still do a show.
We'll have a show, whether it's call in or
he's going to call.
However we're doing it.
So, but thanks for all the questions tonight. Thank you for everybody who's chimed in and watched. Remember you can get us over on Facebook. Facebook, if you're watching right now. If you're listening to the podcast, you get it on Stitcher. You can get it on Twitter. You can get it on iTunes. iHeartRadio. Subscribe to it, share it, give us a review if you would, please. Let us know on those platforms. You like the show, you leave a comment. It helps bring our level up to where we get a little more recognition for other people to find the show. So we'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, one more thing to do.
We've got to announce the winner of
the drawing,
the Hunter's Blend Coffee giveaway.
Right, exactly. It ended, and we had great entries. Thank you very much for
a lot of people entered,
tagging and doing what you had to do and liking pages. And congratulations goes out to the winner, Kevin Haynes, and his two buddies, Jason and Thor.
Now, where is Kevin from? Did we get it?
They are from
what state?
Ontario,
Canada.
Yep,
Canada. Eh?
Yep.
All right.
So.
International.
I will be getting your information over to Hunter's Blend, and we'll be getting out your stuff.
That is cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
And thanks for chiming in and being part of the show and liking the post and all that and what you had to do to win. So very cool.
Sir. So until next week, while
we're talking about Hunter's Blend, how can they save 10% off?
Oh, well, that's easy. You go to the website, huntersblendcoffee.com. And when you go there and you check out, make sure you use the promo code capital UNJ, and you'll get 10% off your order.
That's a good thing.
Absolutely.
That is an awesome thing.
So, but, until next week.
Until next week. And I'll tell you what, for those of you guys on the live stream, we'll hang out here for a few minutes. For those of you on the podcast, we're going to wrap it up, and that'll do it for us this week, folks.
And don't forget, you can catch us in syndication at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on goodtalkradio.com. This episode was brought to you by PSE Archery,
Carbon Express,
Fourth Arrow Camera Arms,
Wind Scent Hunting Scents,
Killer Food Plots, Seeds, Supplements, and Attractants,
Cabela's,
Spot Shooters,
Limb Walker Game Calls,
Twisted Minds Bowstrings,
Hunter's Blend Coffee,
Antler Action,
and Family Traditions Tree Stands.
Thanks for listening, and join us again here next week. Until then, remember, as we always like to say, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe until next week on the Up North Journal.